Okay, good. Well, I guess morning or hey, Silaholics and Keisha. So I'm going to redo this video for the third time. Ended recording one time, it didn't save. The second time there was no audio. So hopefully third time's a charm. But as you can see from the other video, if you had a chance to even just kind of glance at that you can make this into a cuttable file. So you can make a shirt of it using various colors of heat transfer vinyl. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, from copying and pasting the image from your post to Silhouette, it does appear to be a screenshot of some sort, whether it's from a phone or from Messenger or something like that. So the resolution on my end is not the greatest. The resolution on your end may be a little bit better, so you may not have to do as many modifications to your design other than a few areas if your resolution is a little bit better. But there are some areas. So this one I have modified already. So I'm going to just highlight, hold down shift, and I'm going to change the colors on that one so that you can see. Let's choose a better color. So you can see where I had to add a few modifications so that I got a better trace. I'm going to show you the trace without the modifications. I always like to take my scale down. You may or may not have the scale option yet. I am currently using a beta version of version 4.1. I have not updated to the full version yet. I know that it's out because it gave me the prompt to do the full version, but I was kind of busy, so I didn't do the full version yet. But this was on one of the latest updates. They added the scale feature back into the trace function. Now, you would normally just use your slider and take your threshold down. You saw when I first did it, almost everything except the brown was masked in yellow. So even the red, you want to mask just the black and yellow. So moving it around, I did find that 25% was going to give me the best result without moving into the red. So I'm going to go ahead and hit trace. So as you can see, I'm going to fill this with color. There are some broken areas that aren't going to quite work. So you have to kind of fill those in and basically trick the system. So what we're going to do is go over to our draw polygon. I'm going to go ahead and zoom into here. And we're going to draw or like basically manually trace certain areas. Now, right now, my lines are defaulted to here because I've done this video a couple of times. Normally, once you start, yours would probably look like, okay, so now I'm going to go to draw line tool, and I'm going to draw a line here. Normally, when you start off, they would look like this, and then you would have to go in and click on it, make it black, and then make it whatever point size you want. So for that one, I'm going to make it, well, let's go back to 2. Make it 2. So you would make it whatever point size you want. And then you would have to do that every single time. Now, to avoid doing that during this process, because we're going to modify a couple different areas, what you can do is make sure that you have nothing selected. So you don't want to have something already pre-selected. Make sure you have nothing on your screen selected. Then you're going to go to the top. Set the color you want it to be. Set your point size to what you want it to be. If you want it to change it to a dash line or anything like that, you can do that as well. But we don't need it for this particular case. So now anything that you create that is made up of, well, anything that has a line to it, it's going to have those properties. Even if I were to make a square, it's going to come up with those properties. So I'm going to go to line tool. I'm going to go to draw curve. And that's how I'm going to get here the space in between his teeth. And double click so that it releases. And then right here, I am going to bring this one in some just so that it's not too far out when I go to trace. Okay. Now go back to my line tool and make the line there. You can constantly go back here. I like to use keyboard shortcuts. It is the backslash on your keyboard will get you back to the line tool. And then over here, I'm going to come back. I don't think there's a keyboard shortcut for draw polygon. So I'm going to click on draw polygon and click, 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 click. And then same thing, hold down my space bar to pan and then just move your mouse. I'm going to use the same tool, the polygon. Oops, did it select? There we go. And I'm going to make this area here and double click, grab it again, and double click. Now the other areas of concern were right here by his ear. So for this one, I'm going to just use a draw curve, and I'm going to go right to the very top and just make a small connecting line. And I'm actually going to take that down to only 1 point, only because that part of the ear is supposed to thin out. So I'm just going to make that 1 point just so that it can be super thin, and double click and just try to round it some, just so that it's more natural to where, you know, the ear should flow. And actually, let's bring this down some. So you don't have to be precise, you know, so precise in it, but you know, do what's comfortable for you. Same thing on this side. There is a gap right here. And although this appears not to be a gap, because this is, like I said, yours may not be this way. Yours may show a darker black because your resolution may be a little bit higher. But if your image is like this, it's going to pick that up more as like a gray or a brown. So it's not going to pick it up when you bring the threshold down for the black. So we want to fill that in as well. So I'm going to go back to draw a curve. Just want to double click, draw a curve, double click to fill that part in right there. And I think that was all of like the key areas. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So now that you have those, we're going to go back to our trace. Place the box around it. Okay. And like I said, I always like to bring my scale down and just smooth out the lines. And we already know for this one, at least for me, it was 25%. Okay. And trace. So now I'm going to click on just that trace, bring that off to the side. And everything here with my modifications, I'm going to go ahead and just group those together. So I end up selecting this, hold down Shift, click there to deselect it, Control G, group. And I can move this all off to the side. Now with this one, we're going to go ahead and fill it with black. All right, so you can see this is a lot better trace than this one over here. All right, now to separate it, to be able to have the colors, all you're going to do, just like with any trace, when you do, whether it's a black and white trace or a color trace, when you're tracing those, the line art and you're tracing the black lines, you just want to release compound path. Once you do that, you're now able to fill in the colors the way you need to. So that part up there, I'm just going to remake that a compound path to just get the inside part of the D. Now I'm going to click on all of the would-be brown areas. Go up here to my paint dropper, sample the brown from over here. Oh, and see this part right here, for some reason, did not connect. And I'm not sure why. Never had that issue and never had to fill that in. How do I know that? Because this part turned brown instead of saying separated to where I can fill it with white. So let's go back to, wonder what happened there, because that's never actually happened before. So let's zoom in and select trace area. And take my scale. Let's go 25. And I'm going to zoom into right here again. Okay, so there is a little bit of a gap there. I'm going to just fix that by trying to increase my scale rather than my threshold. Okay, not quite going up, so let's just increase our threshold to 26. There we go. It should be connected. Let's just be on the safe side. Let's make it 26.5. Oh, 0.5. Enter. And take my scale back down. Oh, my computer's moving really slow today. All right, just to be on the safe side, I am going to go ahead and just put a line right there. Alrighty, and trace. So you'll see the difference in the two. So we're going to fill this one with black. Release compound path. Select all of the brown. So I'm holding down my shift key as I click into those various brown areas. And I'm just going to hit that because I already filled it. So you can see this time the area for the teeth did not fill in. We're going to go ahead and make that white. Well, I also could have selected the other parts that are white. And this little piece right here under the M is also white. Okay. Then we have our red areas, which is the hat and the inside of the M. And oh, actually, this was also white. And then the inside of the eye. And pretty much the earring part, I'm going to make them the same gold. You can make these whatever color you want, depending on the vinyl that you have. And then the insides of his ears would be the pink. So there he is, completely color-coded. For the D, just going to select that, right-click, and make it a compound path. Now, if I were to move the background, for the most part, all of the black is with this one. There are some areas that pretty much sit on top and you have to cut them away. If not, you'll end up having to recut a black piece to put on top. So we're going to undo that. So those pieces would be here. Hold on my shift key. This piece, not the middle part, so the end part, and this piece right here. So I'm just going to group those together. This is not a required step. I am doing this just so that you can see which ones I select. You don't have to change the color on them. I mean, if you want to be sure you have the correct one selected, you can change the color, but it is not a required step. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on, hold down my shift key, click on the areas that they are on top of. So you don't have to click everything. You just want to click on the red hat, the ear, and I'm sorry. Well, I get, that's so weird. I guess that's when he turns that thing because he has ears up here and he has his natural ears. So then the ear here, okay? And we're going to go over to modify and we're going to choose subtract all. It's going to appear as if nothing has changed. But if you click off and then click on any one of the ones that I changed and move them out the way, I now still see black. And that is because I basically cut a hole into those areas to where the black from the background is going to show through. So now when I remove that, there is absolutely no black left behind and it's filled in from the back, although I did miss the ones here. So I'm going to undo this and let's zoom into here. And then let's go here, here, and here. I'm going to group them together. Actually, let's go and, all right. So for this one right here, we have to kind of make it a compound path first. So I'm going to hold down my shift key. I'm going to select this one And I'm going to select this piece here and this one. And we're going to make it a compound path, right? So that opens up the middle part. So it's solid. This is now a solid white. Then you're going to go hold down Shift key, select just the white. With this one, you can choose subtract, or you can simply choose to make it a compound path. So you can either choose subtract, not subtract all, subtract, and it will just get rid of it, or you can just right click and make it a compound path. In this instance, because it's just one top piece and one bottom piece, the subtract and the make compound path basically operate the same way. So you can see now the gaps in that one. Now you may want to scan your image. Like here, I can see some areas that could be, refined using edit points. Double click on them, straighten out the points there. There's also some areas like within the M and around the hat. Again, this may just be a result of it not being a high resolution image when I trace it. So I got some jagged lines, but you can always double click on areas and then redefine them. So just use your edit points and either delete point or rotate them around, things like that, to redefine those areas and smooth out those lines. Okay, delete that one, because they're going to cut exactly how they are here. So like in this area, and depending on how big you make it, you're going to be able to notice and see that those areas are kind of not so smooth and not so straight. The other area is right here. This is technically supposed to be brown. It's supposed to be to where his mustache kind of comes through. You can see it there. You can either delete it to where it's a full mustache, or you can fill it with the brown and then make it a little bit bigger so that it is, smaller. So that it is a little bit more defined, and then there's separation between the mustache and his actual teeth or lips. So you can make that a little bit bigger just to kind of define that a little bit more if you would like. All right, so that is how you would do that. If you have any additional questions, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. Oh wait, hold on. What's wrong with this area? Probably because I filled in. So yeah, this is just an area where it will be fixed with edit points. Yeah, so that's that. So that's all that was. So hopefully this helps. Again, if you have any additional questions, please do not hesitate to ask. I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. All right, guys, until next time, have a great one.